This is the Pat Nat Cast, a podcast hosted by Pat Nat Games. Today I'm joined by Mr. Dean. He is a short video creator on Nintendo Games Plus that are made with passion, and he is also the co-host of the Special Hour podcast. Mr. Dean, welcome to the show.
What's up? Thank you so much for having me, Pat. So whenever you say short video creator, do you mean like just making videos that happen to be short, or like short shorts? Because I got a little bit of confusion there.
Well, you shouldn't be confused. It's your channel. You know what the answer is.
Oh,
but
right. That's right. That's right. I do know. Yeah,
in my initial ideation of your introduction, I was going to say quick videos. I just said the wrong word in the moment because I did think that could be confusing. But no, Mr. Dean has yet to be producing YouTube shorts. Although he probably should at some point.
I should. And I was just so captivated by your like announcer voice that I almost forgot that I was Mr. Dean. Like I was excited to go check out Mr. Dean's channel.
Right.
So,
you're whoever I say you are when you're on the Pat Nat Cast, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
I do want to give a quick announcement before we get too far into it. The Pat Nat Cast is now available to listen on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. So if you want to listen to it anywhere besides YouTube, you may, and you might already be, in which case, hats off to you. But we're now across multiple platforms, and feel free to follow and leave reviews wherever you are, depending on what your platform allows. Mr. Dean, I figured we could start this off with some icebreaker questions. What do you think about that?
Sure, sounds good.
Yeah, so some simple stuff to get the audience to know you, and possibly for us to get to know each other a little bit more. As you know, the Pat Nat Cast is very intimate, obviously. The first icebreaker question I have for you, and of course I can go first if you need time to think about it, but the question is, if you could only have experienced the exclusive lineup of one Nintendo console, which console would you choose?
So if I could only play the first party games from that console?
Yeah, well, exclusive meaning if you were to choose the Switch, you wouldn't be able to play, NSO games or previous things that were ported over to the Switch, right? So we're talking about games. Now, this doesn't mean those games wouldn't have existed. The universe stays the same with its innovations. Yes, not only can you not play them, but they are erased from your personal experience, too. You would have only experienced console lines for exclusive titles.
So let's just say I picked the Switch. Would I be able to play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe?
That's a good question. Sure.
Let's say ambiguous.
Let's say sure. Yeah.
I mean, I think either way, the Switch wouldn't be my answer. I would probably say the Wii.
Okay.
But it's close between the Wii and the GameCube, I think.
Yeah.
But I think if gun held in my head, I had to choose one, probably the Wii.
Both. I don't know.
There's so many classics on there.
Right, and both the Wii and GameCube excel at first-party stuff exclusively, too. Like, they had such a massive lineup of Nintendo IPs on those two generations, bigger than, I think, the lineup of both Switch and the Wii U, obviously. I could be mistaken, I haven't done any actual numbers research, but I feel like if you're excluding games that were deluxe editions or remakes from the Wii U era, the Switch probably does not have as many first-party title support as the Wii. That's my gut feeling.
Right. Well, and the thing I like about the Wii too is that as a big Mario fan, I would argue that the Wii might be Mario's strongest console in terms of both like mainline and spin-off games. I also love Kirby. You got some great Kirby titles. Oh, did you say interesting like you don't agree?
Well, I know I said interesting because I haven't thought about if that's true or not. I don't.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't sound like an outlandish comment though.
I don't know. It's just like whenever you're looking at the Mario games that are on the Wii, you got the Galaxy games, you got Mario Super Sluggers, Super Paper Mario. New Super Mario Bros. Wii is good, of course. There's just a lot of really good, strong options on there.
That is true.
The GameCube also has great games, but
I think
I'm gonna lock down the Wii.
If we were talking just Mario, and this is beyond the icebreaker question, but if we were talking just Mario, I also think the N64 had a pretty solid Mario lineup with Mario 64. Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, the Mario Party games, and Paper Mario. So I might be inclined to think that Mario's representation has a stronger lineup on the N64, but part of that could be because I don't really like Super Paper Mario or Mario Party 8. But
yeah, well, no, I mean, and trust me, like I love it whenever I hear someone be so confidently wrong too. Like that's awesome. Super Paper Mario is amazing, and half of those Mario games on the N64. I mean, personally,
Well,
like the Mario, like mainly like Mario Golf, Mario Tennis. I don't know.
yeah. We will branch off that into the other icebreaker question, but first
And,
I will answer the question
oh
for
yeah,
myself.
you still haven't answered the question.
No, I think GameCube for me. I just think if you look at the like the top, like, let's say 20 games on the GameCube, most of them are going to be exclusive titles, and they're going to be banger exclusive titles too, with Metroid Prime, Wind Waker, Melee, freaking 4 different Mario Party games that are all super solid. You have Double Dash, just a crazy good lineup on. Oh, Pikmin. Oh my gosh. I have to choose the console that has Pikmin. I just have no choice in that one. But to branch off of your discourse with Super Paper Mario, that's perfect for my second icebreaker question. For those who don't know, Mr. Dean and I also star in a series on the Pat Nat Games YouTube channel called Bracket Breakdown, where we take the best Nintendo Wii games across a tournament bracket and debate them and discuss them before voting on which one should move forward head to head. And essentially, after you guys finish watching that series, you can come back to this episode and finish this episode. Mr. D, my question is, if there was if there was one guilty pleasure Wii game you could add to that bracket, what would it be? One that didn't make the cut for various reasons, but maybe you understand why it didn't make the cut, that you wish could be there, even if it'd be a hard sell to other people.
Well, I feel like a lot of the games that were on there already are my guilty pleasure games.
Sure.
Like Kirby's Epic Yarn was in that bracket. I mean, we already talked about Super Paper Mario. If I had to go, kind of like off of the ones that weren't on the bracket, maybe like Wii Ski. Like Wii Ski's kind of a banger.
Shoot, I don't think I've ever even heard of that game, to be honest.
Easy. Wait, no, easy. Boom Blocks. That's my answer.
Great. Yeah. I really should give Boom Blocks an adequate try at some point. But
it's a masterpiece.
I think I enjoy the mythos of Steven Spielberg's hidden gem more so than actually experiencing it. I like the idea of it existing more than actually putting it in my hands. I have tinkered with it. I've played for like 2 minutes and then I was like, what have I played? But I'm sure it's fun. I think for me, it would just be Mario Super Sluggers. I just love that game a lot. I think it's hard for new people to approach it.
There's no guilt. No guilt in that game.
Not so much guilt, but if it were to win the bracket, I would feel guilty, right? Because
I don't know if I would say it should win the bracket necessarily, but I feel like it definitely deserves, its flowers and being a guest player on the whole tournament. So.
I think it's one of those things that I've shown it to new people and they've had a real tough time getting into it because it's way more intricate than you would expect. You need to spend a lot of time to learn its various intricacies, like the chemistry between players and controlling which base you want to try to steal versus go back towards, and which base you want to throw the ball towards. Way more intricate than the other popular baseball Wii game, which of course was in Wii Sports. So it's always been like a tough sell. But if it were up to me, that one would make big strides in the Wii games bracket. And now you guys have a little bit more context before you go back to Pat Nat Games and check that out. I also want to quickly announce that we have a Discord server on the Pat Nat Games Discord server where you can discuss anything we discuss here further in depth, as well as anything else that you would like to discuss in the gaming universe. It's fun, and you should check it out. Links to everything in the description, of course. Anything else you wanted to add, Dean?
That's about it. I also do want to add, by the way, though, because I want to make sure it's out there in case if I make any other sarcastic comments like I did a few minutes ago. Me and Pat are friends, everyone. I'm not just coming onto a show and like cyberbullying him or anything. So
sure. I think it's also worth mentioning that you have a hand in responsibility in actually making this podcast happen, because I think it was after I guested on your special hour podcast where I was like, man, I really miss podcasting. It really dawned on me that I was like, I really want to get back into this. So I think a big thanks to the special hour for actually having the Pat Nat Cast happen.
I'm honored to have that impact. And plus the funny roundabout aspect of it is that whenever we were forming the special hour, your old Pat Nat Creative podcast was one of our influences. So yeah. It's just fun the way it kind of goes back and forth like that. So.
It is funny having that series re-enter my mind just because you've brought it up several times. Otherwise, I wouldn't think about it much anymore.
I'm a big fan. I'm like a bigger fan of it than you are at this point.
apparently, I really ought to re-listen to it at some point. But either way, I appreciate you guys being here with the new podcast. If any of you have sat around for that old one, feel free to let me know. I don't expect anyone to have been there from the old days, but that's okay. Mr. Dean, what kind of games have you been playing? Has there been anything stuck out to you? Anything you want to comment on of your recent gaming experience as a professional gamer?
Right. Well, yes, as a professional gamer, recently I've been playing mainly just I've been playing 3 games over the past few weeks. I've been running through A Link to the Past because I had no footage of the game, and I want to finally have B-roll of it that I can use, and whether it be a video specifically about it or like more just like broad footage that I can use. So that's been fun. I've only done the first few dungeons, so I definitely am not like through the entire game or anything.
Right.
I played through Super Mario Galaxy 2, since at the time of recording, this is shortly after the Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 just came out for the Switch.
Yeah, it better be.
Yes. But that's been a lot of fun. Very nostalgic game. A game that I would argue should have been on Bracket Breakdown, but that's neither here nor there. But whatever. And then finally, a little fun indie game on the Switch is Graceful Explosion Machine. For anyone that doesn't know what it is, it's. Are you familiar with it, Pat?
No, not at all. I'd love to hear about it.
Okay. So this is a really fun little arcadey shooter game, except whenever I say shooter, it's not, from like the first person. You're kind of controlling the ship, and you have various different enemies, and you have various different like kind of different types of weapons. You have one that's like homing missiles, one that's just like a circular, like, I don't know what to call, like a knife attack or something. Basically, you're trying to get the highest score you can and survive each of the levels. And the gameplay is incredibly fluid and fast paced, and it's just very satisfying to play while like listening to music or doing whatever else in the background, or you can put all your attention on the game too. So those are the main games that I've been playing. What have you been playing,
That's
Pat?
cool.
That's what I want to know.
I'm curious, is this indie game that you're playing, is that a Switch 2 exclusive, or is that just one you happen to have been playing on the Switch 2?
No, in fact, this originally came out around the launch of the Switch 1.
Oh, okay.
Or at least maybe it came out before that. That's just whenever I first bought the game.
Got it.
But I've been playing it on and off ever since then.
Okay. Well, that's very cool. I'm always looking for more games to add to my library. Speaking of indie games playable on the Switch 2, I have been playing Fast Fusion, which I thought would be appropriate to bring up to someone else I know who likes the game, which is a select few people out there. Not because it's disliked, just because people haven't played it. But I've been having a great time with it. I love the fast-paced nature of it. I like how it progresses in difficulty, how it starts off feeling like anyone can play it despite how fast-paced it feels. And then as you start getting through the cups, you start to realize, oh shoot, things like using an actual button to maneuver starts becoming more important, or turn rather. I don't know why I said maneuver. Things like that, simple things like switching your color depending on the boost that you go on feels trivial at first, and then as you start getting faster and faster, you realize, okay, this is actually something I need to pay attention to because I don't want to be getting on the wrong boosts. Yeah, I just love the feel of it. It feels so good. The mobility, the jumping off of tracks and landing on top of other players, it's so incredibly satisfying. Even the small amount of checkpoints that you need to just master in order to get consistently high placements is great. I'm having a great time, and for a low price too. It was what, $15 or something? Yeah, I'm a big fan. I also like how they have the F-Zero superhero mode where you can bring back your health being your boost meter, and I'm really bad at that mode, but I think it's really fun that you can go back to it. So highly recommend people check it out. It's a Switch 2 exclusive too, so if you want to feel more justified in your expensive purchase, you can look towards that, and that should ease your pains a bit.
Well, and just like the original Fast, or not, there's been other fast racing games even before Fast RMX, but in a very similar way to Fast RMX, it is one of the best showcases of what the Switch 2 hardware is capable of.
It is visually
just in
impressive.
terms of visually, it's absolutely gorgeous, and the frame rate's incredibly consistent. The only thing I wish there was more of, and I think that they've been adding some new tracks, but I did start to feel a little bit underwhelmed, like a tiny bit with the course selection, especially because with Fast RMX, I think there was like twice as many tracks to race on.
Really? Okay.
But even then, like the 15 or so that we have as of right now, they're all well designed. The gameplay is, like you said, incredibly addicting.
Yeah.
It's very easy to find yourself just like losing track of time playing this.
Right.
Another thing that I always start going.
Well, I was just going to ask, RMX, is that the one that was on the Switch, the first Switch before, or is this?
Yes. So RMX was a deluxe version in a way of Fast Racing Neo, which that game is on the Wii U, and then Fast RMX was exclusively a Switch game.
Yeah. Right. So what I was gonna just quickly mention is that I noticed that the Switch 2 edition, the new Switch 2 game, Fast Fusion, is actually listed at a cheaper price than its previous one. So even though it has a less amount of stages,
that's a good point.
It is a cheaper game. But yeah, I'm sure with the context of playing the previous games, I would be missing more tracks as well.
But even then, though, it's not like I'm disappointed with this game, though. I still think it is, like, especially within this first year of the Switch 2 where there's not a ton of games to play, I think Fast Fusion is, like, a must-buy for anyone who not only likes racing games, but loves that style of futuristic high-speed racer. If you miss F-Zero, Wipeout, any of those type of games, I mean, Fast Fusion... It delivers on all those fronts. So.
At this point, Nintendo should really just hire them to make the next F-Zero game, because they're clearly not doing anything with it, and these guys clearly know how to do it. So
they hired Shin'en Multimedia to make an F-Zero game, one that's similar to Fast Fusion, where it's I guess if they made it in the style of like GX, for example, but way more bombastic in terms of graphics and like the scope of the gameplay, I think that'd be awesome. So
yeah, definitely. And they're not doing anything with it, so it's like someone's got to do something with it, right? But that's been a great time. Also, it has local multiplayer. I haven't tried it yet, but I think that's a very solid plus 4-person local multiplayer. Anything else you wanted to mention before we get into the news, Dean?
Specifically about Fast Fusion, that's pretty much it. The main other thing I do love about that game is the ability to fuse different vehicles together and kind of like boost the stats in one specific category.
What a neat concept.
It is a really cool. It's almost this is gonna be like the stupidest comparison. It's kind of like Mario Strikers Battle League, how you can fuse two different arenas together. Sure. Except this time it's actually well designed.
It actually does something, right? Yeah. And it's cool that you can slowly see your vehicles becoming like the best it can be just through the fusions, and having it be a visual mesh of the two, while not to say that there's that much distinction between the cars to begin with, but having some kind of distinction of like, hey, this one's fused obviously because it took some of this elements from this and this elements from that. It's just satisfying, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. But that's pretty much the summary of my thoughts on Fast Fusion.
Yeah. You guys should definitely go play it. We're going to get into some headlines talking about Nintendo news. The first thing I wanted to start with is a recent patent filed by Nintendo. This is an article from My Nintendo News. The article title is "New Patent Seemingly Shows How Nintendo DS Games Could Work on Switch." Now, I've looked at the patent pictures, and essentially there is a patent for showing multiple screens at once and allowing you to switch between the two screens, essentially. So this could potentially work with DS games because DS uses two screens, and some of the patent pictures shows interfaces on one screen they call the child screen, while the gameplay is on the parent screen, similar to what we've seen with DS. There's also like picture-in-picture demonstrations inside of the patent, which is funny. I'm explaining all this stuff as if any of this stuff warrants a patent, because this seems like all things that have been done many times before of just multiple screens. It's very confusing that a patent would even be filed for this, but Nintendo loves filing patents. They just do it left and right. And a lot of people, or some people speculate that this could lead to Nintendo DS games being introduced onto the Nintendo Switch. That sounds a little bit like a leap to me to immediately assume that's what it would be used for. But of course, I, like many other people, would love to see Nintendo DS return in some kind of fashion, as those games have not really been playable or remade really since the 3DS line shut down. And more opportunities for those games to be played in the modern day, I think, would be great. Did you have anything you want to add to this, Dean?
Well, for one thing, I think it's important to really drill this home that just because a patent was filed does not mean any of this is guaranteed at all. I've already seen a lot of people on Twitter, Blue Sky, wherever, kind of be like, oh, we're finally getting DS, like, or whatever, and I'm like, it could happen, but
it's a leap though. It's a leap.
Like you said, Nintendo loves filing patents, so. But let's just assume this is real. Another thing I would love about the idea of being able to play DS games on Switch is it would make it way easier, not only accessible for people to play DS games, but for content creators to record DS games. Because historically, you have to mod your DS in order to, or your 3DS rather, to get a capture card put into it that then you can record gameplay on your computer.
It's a nightmare.
Not only is that it's a very time consuming process, but it also is an expensive one too. Yeah. So I think that giving people the ability to play DS games selfishly would be great as a content creator. But also it would be amazing just in the sense that there are so many people that, especially people in this new generation of gamers that may not have had a DS or 3DS. Who
have no idea.
That are able to play these games.
Right.
In terms of what the patent, whenever I was looking into this, it looks like there's 3 different modes of how this would work. Like you were saying, there's one where there's the child screen and then the parent screen. There's one where both screens are just shown on your Switch 2. And I think that the third one is where you can like swap between the 2 screens or something.
Yeah.
Which that one personally, I don't really see how that's ergonomic at all. Imagine if you're trying to play a game that requires quick inputs and then you're having to swap between actually being able to see the gameplay and, interacting with the screen. So basically it would be a Star Fox Zero situation all over again.
And that's what I was going to say is a funny, I guess, roll of 4 in this situation would be if this wasn't patented for the Nintendo DS, if this was patented for Wii U entering NSO online, which would be hilarious and not going to happen at all. But the just seeing like the smaller... I don't even understand what the
point of that would be.
No, there would be very little point.
Almost all the Wii U games are on the Switch already.
Right. But here's the rebuttal to that, Mr. Dean. There's you could maybe get like 16 games or so out of the Wii U library that hasn't already been ported and resold on the Switch. But they did do Virtual Boy, which was about 16 games anyway. So, they could just add a $100 attachment to this to make it feel like a Wii U. And then boom, it's like history repeats itself, right? You grab the 2 failed consoles, put it on NSO.
I don't know if I'm on board with this one.
I don't see why you don't like this idea. I think it would be great. We just need more really expensive pieces of plastic that get to sit on our shelves and collect dust for a long time.
All I want is for Nintendo to port Nintendo Land at this point. If we just get Nintendo Land on the Switch, that's all I care about.
Nintendo Land, and then do something with the Zelda remakes, obviously, because those were great remakes that are just sitting and doing nothing.
I don't know how likely that is because we just got Wind Waker on GameCube NSO. So I wouldn't get my hopes up.
I feel like the release of Wind Waker HD would boost the sales for both Wind Waker HD and the NSO original because people want to play the original games. But they don't like doing those dual releases at all. They really don't like the idea of releasing the old one and the new one at the same time, even though other game companies do it all the time and make tons of sales off of it. People who release like legacy collections alongside new releases,
Pat, you say that like Nintendo does smart things.
Yeah, I know. That's silly. Like you said, silly me.
Like you said, but other companies do this, and I'm like, Nintendo doesn't care what other companies do.
They don't care. I haven't looked too in depth at the patents, but I wonder if this would imply flipping the screen horizontally, or vertically rather, in which case, which would make more sense for why they would show diagrams of 2 screens at one time, because I don't imagine you want to play the DS games with 2 screens stacked, on a horizontal screen. In which case, it's possible that they would make their own controller attachment to hold the system.
I was about to say, how would the controls work then?
Right. I imagine they could make another $100 peripheral that you attach to it, like the Virtual Boy.
And Pat, stop giving them ideas.
And there you go. You could play DS games, and I think that one might sell a little better than the Virtual Boy attachment.
Oh, I don't know about that one.
All speculation. Nintendo files patents all the time, though. I remember looking before the Switch 2 release, I was looking at their patents, and I saw one that talked a lot about connecting your phone to the system in order to play games on one screen while also showcasing it on the main screen. Potentially, this could have been used for this the sake of a companion app of the Zelda Switch 2 edition games, but it's also very possible that it just didn't go anywhere and they just file patents because they have the money to do that. So this could be nothing, but it's fun to fantasize. It's fun to imagine DS games or Wii U entering the picture.
I feel like realistically, they're probably more focused at the moment on filling up the GameCube library, because right now they still only have what 4 or 5 games on there. So
yeah,
there's definitely a long way to go for that.
Let's be honest. With what we've seen of these ports, it doesn't take that much effort for them to put these games on the system. I don't think they need to only allocate time towards one. I don't think they need to focus on one thing. It's more about...
Okay, but this is Nintendo we're talking about.
Right. Yeah, it's more about the drip feeding is what it is. This is
the company that with Nintendo Music, they'll like upload half of a game's library for no reason. Like,
yes.
They don't like making sense.
They don't make sense, and they know that the longer people hold on to their subscriptions, the more money they make. And if they release too many things at once, people might cancel their subscription once they get their fill. So the promise of maybe there being DS or maybe being Wii games entering at some point, or GameCube games, or more GameCube games, that promise alone is what's keeping people holding on to so many of their, or holding on to so many people's subscriptions, that it just makes sense for them to only keep releasing it one bit at a time, even if it's as simple as drag a file here. So yeah, that's where I meant to go with saying, you know, the focus, the work focus, I don't think matters as much. It's just the financial focus. Speaking of financial focus, I do have a financial headline that I want to talk about.
Nice little segue there.
Thank you. This is from thegamebusiness.com. It's the article reads, Nintendo has generated nearly $2.2 billion from mobile games so far. Now, this isn't incredibly surprising because I've known that, you know, the Nintendo mobile games have been doing really well, and I also know that mobile games in general just generate so much money. But still, 2.2 billion is a very large number. And some other interesting things in this article, it talks about which games are providing the most amount of money generated for Nintendo. The top one being Fire Emblem Heroes, something I've always heard
That was
about.
the shocking part to me.
Yeah, I've always heard that, like, oh, there's a bunch of whales on Fire Emblem Heroes who are spending a lot of money on this game, but it's still been relatively under the general Nintendo limelight, because like only the Fire Emblem Hero fans are really talking about it. No one else has really been talking about it since it came out, right? But it has generated in revenue. What is? I don't want to misread.
I think
this
it's
number,
1 point. I want to say it's 1.1 billion. I think. It's some massive number like that.
$1.193 billion, which is absurd. Have you played Fire Emblem Heroes? I have.
No, I have not.
Okay, so I like Fire Emblem games a decent amount. I don't play each and every one of them, and I don't really have the time to play as much as I would like to. But I did play Heroes, and as a game, I just like, okay, yeah, no, this is not fun because it's way watered down, and then a lot of microtransactions. I was like, yeah, this is not my thing. A lot of daily timers, economy, or currencies and stuff. Big turnoff for me. So I never played it again. I did not know that. I knew people were buying it. I did not know people were buying that much into it. That's insane. $1.193 billion.
And when did that come out?
It came out like in 2017, and I never thought about it again. I played it, I just put it down, and I stopped. But yeah, that's made the most revenue by far. February 2017, that's when it was released, yeah. Mario Kart Tour is next at September 2019. That's understandable, with a revenue of 365 million being made, which is a large number. It's nowhere near 1.1 billion, though, which is wild. So Fire Emblem Heroes is carrying the mobile revenue for Nintendo, it's Fire Emblem. It's so funny. On the consoles, Fire Emblem is not the leading, it's not the leading IP. So
yeah, I think the good thing about that maybe is it's showing Nintendo that Fire Emblem can be a profitable franchise.
I don't know if that is a good thing.
Okay. I guess it's a good thing in the sense. Okay, maybe not profitable, but it's showing that people care about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
People who like it really care about it.
As someone that doesn't really engage with Fire Emblem at all. I think I'm happy for the Fire Emblem fans, unless if Nintendo, like you said, takes it a commercial route instead of a like putting quality effort into the franchise type of thing.
Yeah, I'd like to assume a lot of the revenue made is on the more predatory side, unfortunately. Like, just the idea of pumping money into digital awards that don't have lasting value doesn't always sit right with me. And I don't think Heroes is any different. I think it's your usual mobile game practices. So I don't love that it's, like, regardless of it being Fire Emblem, I don't love that Nintendo is finding success in making lesser quality games, but better mobile gaming practices in a way. What are you going to do? That's just the way of the world. Animal Crossing is next. And then what's funny is, like, there's some games that I would not expect to have made money, like Dr. Mario World, which got discontinued. I tried it. It wasn't great. It still had a revenue of $13 million, which is surprising to me. Even Miitomo had a revenue of $3,700,000, which rest in peace, Miitomo.
Yeah, rip. I was gonna say, in terms of Fire Emblem, I didn't really like. I was researching into the revenue the game made. I didn't even really know much about what exactly the game was.
Yeah.
So I wasn't aware it was a heavily like microtransaction mobile-y type of game, which obviously isn't shocking. But
yeah. And I wasn't
that
critiquing
knowledge,
your reaction to it either.
Yeah. But like with that knowledge, I definitely wish it would be a more how do I put this? More like respectable type of game for it to be netting such an absurd amount of money. But yeah.
And the microtransaction train just kind of continues with Pikmin Bloom being number 6. I guess they don't consider Pokemon Go in this list because, Nintendo
it's a
owns a portion of it. Yeah. But Pikmin Bloom is on the list at 84 million raised. Which compared to the others is not incredibly high, but still a massive number, especially considering the fact that I hate Pikmin Bloom. At least I hate it when I played it. I don't know how much they've added since I've played, but I remember thinking it was an embarrassing launch with very little to actually do, and mostly just a game that's utilizing Pikmin aesthetics to make people think it's fun when it's a shadow of what Pokemon Go was even at Pokemon Go's launch. But it turns out Pikmin Bloom is incredibly popular in Japan specifically. And I think that's part of this rise of Pikmin representation in other Nintendo facets, because it's still having a lot of blood pumped into it through the player base of Japan playing Pikmin Bloom. The reason I'm honing in on Pikmin specifically is because it kind of transitions into our next topic, unless you have anything else you want to add to the mobile game stuff.
Pat, you are on fire with these segues. I don't even know what else to say.
Thank you. So this isn't huge news, but Nintendo released a short film or short video. It feels weird calling it a film, but a short film, Pixar style, of a baby walking around and doing baby stuff, and with an invisible binky, also known as a pacifier, depending on where you are regionally. Just flying around, doing nonsensical stuff. It turns out it was a Pikmin thing. The video they uploaded to YouTube showed no Pikmin whatsoever, but they uploaded an exclusive Nintendo Today video that shows the other side of it, where Pikmin are actually inside the video maneuvering this binky or pacifier, depending on your regional dialect, across the room. And, so you've already talked about this on your podcast, The Special Hour, and I don't mean to stay here long because of that. But it's also relatively old news. I do find it interesting because last episode, when I was talking with Tom, I was mentioning how I pictured Nintendo moving forward in its company as trying to take some lessons from Disney in a way, and also, of course, taking some lessons from Apple in its hardware. But in terms of IP, it's really been leaning more towards IP existing beyond the game, of it just being an entity rather than that's a character from a video game that I played. That's Mario from Mario Kart. It's more Mario is just Mario. Mickey Mouse is just Mickey Mouse. And this kind of aids that narrative a little bit with them not only making this short film, but wanting to make more short films in the future with Nintendo Pictures. Because, of course, this wasn't advertising any Pikmin game. There is no Pikmin game attached to this. This was purely advertising IP, which is something you do when you want the IP to be recognized beyond just the game itself. So I found it interesting that after I had already talked about that, this video came out, and it really leans into this idea of, hey, Nintendo Pictures. Now it's more, it's another facet that's not just gaming; it's just IP, which I think is very interesting. Other people have pointed out that they've done this before with Pikmin, back on the 3DS with the Pikmin shorts, but even that was relatively tied into Pikmin 3, which was either coming out or was already out, and then it was sandwiched between Pikmin 3 and then Hey Pikmin, which came out later, which apparently people don't like. I've never played it. So I don't know. I think this just further emphasizes my point of Nintendo trying to bring its characters beyond the screen and have it be more of an entity, which I think is just the direction Nintendo's heading. Dean, you've already talked about this, but is there anything else you wanted to add?
I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there. I think that's also the same reason they are so adamant about branching out beyond games with like Nintendo amusement parks, movies,
Right.
just like random merchandise you'll see out and about. If you go to the Nintendo store in New York, most of that store is not even games. They do sell games there, but a lot of it is just like random things like shirts, mugs, all that kind of stuff. I think it all goes into that ethos of we want our properties to not be limited to only just being video games, which I think it's smart. So I mean, yeah, that's
and they've been opening more stores too. I think they just recently announced a 4th store that's going to be opening in Japan, and they are expanding outwards more. And I get the feeling that the fans who really are excited to go to a Nintendo store are similar to the fans of Disney who are really excited to go to the Disney store when they go to Disney World or Disneyland. There's always a wave of people who want to go straight to the merchandise section. And I think Nintendo is just really taking some notes from that playbook because they have now the financial backing to really expand to that capacity. I also think it's interesting. This is a bit of a side tangent, but I was playing Mario Kart World, and the music of Mario Kart World is really good, obviously. It's also very much, a lot of it felt like theme park music to me, like stuff that you would listen to while walking around downtown Disney, or I guess Super Mario World, or Super Nintendo World. I don't even know what it's called. The Universal Nintendo expansion. If you're walking around there, you start listening to like a lot of music that was like, oh, this fits for a theme park, but it was made for these games, like 3D World music. A lot of that is theme park music, and they can play at the theme park. I wonder how much influence is going to be going into Nintendo games with that kind of stuff in mind now. Like, I wonder if when they were composing music for Mario Kart World, they're thinking, hey, this could play while you're in line for the Mario Kart ride or something, I don't know. Just something that crossed my mind.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think maybe what might be happening is because it sounds like vaguely like something that you might hear at an amusement park, like those dots are being connected in your head. But
sure.
I mean, of course, there's always a chance that Nintendo is super meta with their audio design, and they're like, all right, how can we use this beyond this specific game?
Right.
I mean, there's a chance of that, but I don't know. I feel like whenever I played Mario Kart World, that's not necessarily what I was thinking. But now that you say it, it's interesting to think about.
I would love for you to listen to it again and get back to me and tell me I'm crazy, because I could be crazy. Just with this context of like, if you're picturing yourself at a theme park, do you hear this music playing in the streets while you're walking around? Because I could be completely crazy. I do know a lot of Galaxy's music also aids that feeling, but I wouldn't say the same thing about like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or, the Mario sports games. It's not every piece of Mario, but because Mario Kart World is, has an attraction at its theme parks, makes me think maybe there's some influence there. But I don't know. Could be crazy.
It's a fair point.
I also know for a fact that if you go to the park after a certain amount of time, you will hear Mario Kart World music playing now that the game's out. I'm quite confident in that.
Well, and like you were asking me to do, I will go back and re-listen to it and get back to you.
Okay.
With an open mind.
I'll let you call me crazy. You could call me crazy. That's fine too. Moving on though, we're going to get back into Nintendo sales just a little bit. I don't plan on staying here super long, but Nintendo is reportedly ramping up Switch 2 production to 25 million units by March 2026. This is according to a Shack News article, which is pulling from a Bloomberg article. I couldn't read the Bloomberg article because it has a paywall, unfortunately. but if you guys would like for me to be able to afford the paywall,
it's a beautiful, beautiful way of doing this.
I don't have any monetary things through Pat Nat Cast. I just thought it was funny. But it's they're ramping up production of Nintendo Switch 2. Obviously, the Switch 2 has been selling really well. Earlier in the year, it was reported that it was selling better than the Switch was at its time. I think by 75% or something, which is crazy.
Absurd.
The original Switch also did not, it was selling well at the start, but the majority of its sales was made over time. It wasn't that it was, it was selling well though, but so was the PS4. So it was weird. But all that said, 25 million, they want to be able to sell that much by March of next year, which is an ambitious number that they could possibly reach just because of how well the system's been selling. I've here a little quote that says, previously Nintendo had set the expectations to 15 million Switch 2 consoles by the end of the fiscal year of 2026. So their original expectation of 15 million by the end of 2026, now they're saying we need to make 25 million by March, which is just crazy. So that sales are beyond their expectations, I'm pretty sure, which is good for the company's success. Dean, did you have anything you want to add to that?
I mean, it's an absurd number. 25 million in 9 months is wow. I'm really not saying that they can't do it. Well, and so I've said this on the special hour, and I still kind of stand by it, but I'm still kind of concerned with this holiday season because the big games that we have, Pokemon and Metroid, are both also available on the Switch 1. Yeah. So I'm not too sure how many people are going to be buying a Switch 2 for those two games. Of course, some will, because they're going to perform better. Well, I suppose Pokemon is already performing better, but right now there's already a whole discussion around the quality of Pokemon Legends EA. Yeah, right. That's a whole other topic. But in terms of, sorry, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, in terms of quality, at what point does the bad quality of a Nintendo Switch 1 edition of the game help the sales of the Switch 2 version and Switch 2s in general? How many people are going to see that how low performance it is on the original Switch and think, okay, well, I might as well get the system bundle because I was going to get it anyway, right?
Well, the thing with Pokemon, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like people are kind of unhappy with the game with either version.
That like could be fair. That could be fair, yeah.
Because obviously the game runs better on Switch 2, but I've been seeing a ton of people critiquing everything from the texture work to just like, I don't know. I haven't played the game.
They can't make a game look good for the life of them.
It's mainly people just roasting Game Freak in their development. Yeah. I haven't played the game, so I can't personally speak on that. But on the point of will people buy the Switch 2 because the Switch 1 version is so bad, I doubt it, honestly. I don't know.
Fair enough.
I think some people might. Some people might, see the frame rate of whether it be Metroid Prime or Pokemon, or see the resolution and be like, okay, I need the next gen console already. I don't think it's going to be enough people to push 25 million units in 9 months. I'll just put it that way.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know much about Pokemon. It's not a game series that I've been into since X and Y, I think, is where I fell off. But I do know that even the bad Pokemon games tend to sell really, really well. And I know having an additional Switch 2 bundle now, bundles tend to sell really well as in addition. So I think it's possible that their metrics aren't off. But I also agree that the holiday lineup is not as solid as it could be, unless Kirby pulls some numbers people weren't expecting with Air Riders. We'll see. And then their start of the year, I don't think they have a ton of stuff lined up. Is the Mario Tennis game supposed to come out at the start of the year? I don't know. I don't remember. But it's an ambitious number. But they've blown through expectations before. I definitely wasn't expecting the Switch 2 to sell better than the Switch 1 within its first year. I was expecting it to sell well for sure. I wasn't expecting to sell that well, but 75%, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm not going to act like I think it's impossible for Nintendo to do that. I also wasn't expecting the Switch 1 to be as successful as it was, and they proved me wrong.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I'm not going to be like, oh, there's no way. I'm just saying I'm a little bit skeptical with the current lineup that we have coming. But like you said, Pokemon does sell. Maybe there will be enough people that just buy the next console because they don't want to play it on the Switch 1. And then Metroid, Metroid historically doesn't sell a ton, but it's a big hyped up game that people have been waiting on for years. Like when was Metroid Prime 3? At least a decade ago. So I mean, yeah.
And it was Metroid Prime 4 was announced in 2017, which is
right. And it had to restart development at one point.
Yeah,
it's insane because when that game was announced, I was entering high school. Which I'm getting old.
Well, we don't need to play the old game. The Metroid Prime is I'm extremely excited for it. I also agree that I don't think it's going to be necessarily the console seller. We won't even see a bundle with it, I'm sure. I'm sure Pokemon's the only bundle we're getting for the holiday season. But I'm excited for it nonetheless. We'll see if Nintendo can hit these marks that they're looking for, and we'll go from there. And I think that's going to be it for our news section, unless there was anything else you wanted to mention before we move on to the next topic.
I think that's about it.
Okay. Next up is just very simple. Mr. Dean, new generation, that's where we are. This is the Switch 2's grand lineup of games showing up past the fiscal year, or past just the year that the Switch 2 came out in. What kind of Switch 2 games are you excited to get into? Or Switch 1 games? What games are you generally excited about coming from Nintendo?
Well, I'm glad that you added Switch 1 to the pool of which I can choose from.
And I think I can guess why.
Are we thinking of the same game that starts with a T and rhymes with Boma Boppy Bife?
That is the game I knew you were thinking about. Yes.
Tomodachi Life, I am so ready for. I think that the ability to live the dream finally, go to my little paradise island, watch my Miis all fight each other once again like I did years ago on the 3DS. I'm just so excited for that game. And in terms of Switch 2, I think Kirby Air Riders. I haven't played a ton of the original game, but from what I did play, it was fun. I love the fact that Sakurai is so passionate about the game, and from the direct that we did see, it looks well designed. Looks like it's making good use of the Switch 2 hardware.
Right.
So I would say out of the current games, that and Metroid are the two that I'm the most excited to play. I am also intrigued by the Yoshi game that we saw announced in the last direct. We haven't seen a ton about it, but it's interesting.
I saw some people kind of giving some flack for an underwhelming announcement of that, but I thought it was a very cool announcement. I think it's kind of exciting, and maybe I'm just a sucker for unique visual styles, but I was really digging the visual style of it, and I think that's what Yoshi does really well. So I was moderately excited to hear that game's coming out.
Well, I think that people were probably underwhelmed because it was ending off the Mario 40th anniversary, which I still don't think it should have. I don't think it should have been a part of that necessarily, but the actual announcement itself, I think, is exciting.
Yeah, I guess I don't put a ton of weight into anniversary announcements in general. In my head, I'm just like, the games are fun. I'll play the games when the games come out. But I think Yoshi's exciting.
Nonchalant of you.
Yeah, Kirby Air Riders. Correct me if I'm wrong. You have not played the previous Kirby Air Ride game?
I played a little bit of it. I wouldn't say I haven't played enough of it to where I could truly articulate my thoughts on it.
Sure. I have played it a lot. I actually grew up with it. I played with my siblings all the time. So that is the game I'm like most excited about in the most immediate future. Of course, there's also Metroid Prime, but I talked about that last episode, so I don't need to talk about it again. Kirby Air Riders, or the original Kirby's Air Ride, though, I think one of my favorite games on the GameCube, specifically Free Run, or not Free Run, sorry, not Free Run, specifically City Trial was the most fun, and a style of gameplay that I've really wanted to see come back for the longest of time. So to see it coming back from Sakurai himself was that was the highlight of the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct that happened earlier this year. And I've been incredibly excited. I'm going to start off by renting it to get my wiggles out, and then I'll probably buy it when it goes down in price through eBay or something later in 2026, I imagine, because I'm saving my AAA prices for Metroid Prime. But I'm excited for it to come out. I will definitely rent it around launch. We should, if you have it around launch, we should definitely try some online matches sometime, because I think that would be cool to be able to experience Kirby in a new light where it's now online. Of course, there has been an online competitive community for Kirby Air Ride this entire time. Not this entire time, but in recent years, it's kind of formed, and I've played a couple of times through their Discord server and their modded versions of the game. That's been a lot of fun. So I'm sure they're very excited too. I love Kirby Air Ride. I'm curious to see what they could possibly say more about it in the next Sakurai Kirby Air Ride Direct. I would hope that they've announced some more courses that would be added, because they've only shown 4 courses of the game. And even though racing's not the biggest part of the game, I still think it would be nice to have a bigger lineup, especially given how huge the lineup of courses was in the original Kirby Air Ride. Because the racing is not the point of the game, but it's still a fun part of the game. You know, it's still a nice thing to have. And I wish, I hope there's more than just 4 tracks. But the city trial looks banger, looks awesome. I love the mini races they've added to City Trial. This is getting ultra specific if you haven't played the previous game, but adding mini races is a great way to not only incentivize you increasing your stats for the main event, but also having these mini segments where you can utilize the stats that you've built up just for a short period of time to get better rewards from it. I think that's a great idea. Everything about City Trial just looks great to me. I'm excited to get back into it. So yeah, Kirby Air Riders. That's what I'm excited about. I did have one question about the Mii game you brought up, because I've never played the 3DS version. And I've only played a little bit of Animal Crossing.
Pat, did you just call it the Mii game?
Yeah, that little Mii game coming out.
It has a name.
Miitomo. Yeah, Miitomo. Okay.
I'm leaving the call. Never talking to
Miitomo Island Plus. I don't know what the heck it's called. I know it involves Miis, but
it's called Momomachi Mife.
Okay,
I just like alliteration.
Okay,
Tomodachi Life.
Tomodachi Life. Okay. So it's still called the same as the cute old. So if you were to elevator pitch like why someone might play this game and get something that they don't already get from Animal Crossing, what would you say? Is it like, does it stand out above Animal Crossing, or
my 30-second Tomodachi Life elevator pitch?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. So the thing with Tomodachi Life compared to other life simulation games is the fact that instead of being the person in control of the characters, you are playing an observer role and you are reacting to what's happening instead of proactively controlling everything. And that is something that on surface level, it might seem like, what's the point of playing then? It's no longer a video game. I think that that's kind of the magic of Tomodachi Life, because instead of watching a reality show, you are like getting to directly tinker with the reality show. You get to be like, all right, you're going to talk to this person. And then you get to just like watch calamity ensue from it. So in a way, I guess I'm sadistic, but it's just really fun. I just like the game.
Okay. And hey, I'm all for more Mii representation. I don't want them to kill Miis. I think more games with Miis in the name is good for society. If you think about society was a lot better when Miis were more prominent. I'll just say that much. But I think also I think it's interesting that they have not yet announced a Switch 2 edition of the game. Am I wrong in saying that? Right now, it's looking like a Switch 1 exclusive. That's kind of weird, right?
Not really, because I think that what they're trying to do is maintain the Switch as like another pillar of income for them, because there are still people that aren't willing to purchase the Switch 2. I could think of out of people I'm friends with in real life, a lot of them are not at all interested in buying a Switch 2 and instead are like, okay, I mean, maybe I'll just buy a Switch, because I don't have the money right now to be spending the extra $150 on a console, and like I don't care enough about the new games right now. So, but I think that they're still going for that audience.
Would they lose sales though if they were to also put it on the Switch 2? Because the people who have only the original Switch will still buy the game for the Switch, right? So they wouldn't lose any sales from it. My only thought is maybe they want to release it later in the year for $10 more, and then be like, remember this game? We're still giving it life. Here's a couple more bells and whistles. Buy it on the Switch.
This is where I go back to what I was saying before about Nintendo being just an oddball company.
Yeah, they are odd. I've always just thought that was weird since they first announced it in the Nintendo Switch Direct right before the Switch 2 Direct, where they then didn't announce it. And I was like, wow, why is this game only coming to Switch 1? But I don't know if has any other console Nintendo console done that, where they've released a first party title just on the previous generation instead of the newer one? I guess besides
really.
3DS and Switch, because those are two different hardware requirements, but like, you know, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, not to my knowledge, but I also feel like I was probably too young with like whenever like say the Wii U came out, and at that time I was like, shoot, how old was I whenever the Wii U came out? I was young, so I wasn't old enough to be actively following the ins and outs of the industry. So yeah,
I'm sure we'll see. I feel like we'll see a Switch 2 edition of it eventually. I'm pretty sure. It would seem weird for them to not add the three word name extension or 4-word name extension of Nintendo Switch 2 edition to the name. Just like they did with Super Mario Party Jamboree plus Jamboree TV, you know. I think that's it. I think we did it. Do you think we did it? I think we did it. Yeah. Mr. Dean, where can people find you if they want to hear more about you other than going to the Pat Nat Games YouTube channel to watch Bracket Breakdown? Where else could they find you, Mr. Dean?
Yes, so I am on YouTube, Mr. Dean 44. Like Pat said at the beginning, I do lots of short videos, but not literally short videos, just videos that happen to be shorter in length. Lots of Nintendo rankings, reviews, all that kind of stuff. And then I have a podcast called The Special Hour with my co-host Donovan Dudd. So that's been a lot of fun. And then if you want to follow me anywhere on social media, I am on Blue Sky. Unfortunately, I'm on Twitter. And then I also have a Discord server called the Dean Kingdom. Just your typical Discord server kind of things. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. Make sure you guys check out Mr. Dean in all of those places. You can also check out myself on the Pat Nat Games YouTube channel. Links will be in the description, of course. Thank you, Dean, for joining. And thank you all out there for listening on your favorite podcasting platform, even if that means YouTube, like us weirdos who listen to YouTube podcasts. I'm one of them.
That's what I do.
I'm not judging. I do as well. Yeah, it's all in my feed in one place, you know. But some of you might like other platforms, so you could check that out by checking the link in the description. And that's all. Thank you. Goodbye.